In the senior AAA division, Whitby Dunlops attempt to build off the success of last season. Hey there, sports fans, and welcome back to Centennial Sports TV. I'm Kyle Forster, and I am happy and privileged to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Braydon Holmyard.
Wow, I don't know what I did to deserve that, but I'll take it. You know who wasn't in such a giving mood lately is the Centennial Colts basketball team.
You're right about that, Braydon. The men's team was taking Garland, who takes it for an easy 2. Nazareth keeping it close. Gillard still hot from deep, nailing another 3. Colts up 19-18. Big man Malik Hyde with 36. Third quarter, and Kurek another monster block. He had 4 total in the game. Brendan Wind tries to do a little too much and gets stripped by Daniel Humphrey, but Wind ain't no quitter. He hustles back and bails himself out with a massive block. Not too long later, Wind loses the ball again. This time McFarland converts on the turnover. That puts the Colts up 45-43. The Golden Flyers put on a surge at the end of the third, though. That's Jake Bergeau driving to the basket for 2, and Wind hitting the long 3 to put them up 52-49 heading into the fourth. From there on out, it was all Colts. Kurek with the ball outside the paint, gets his own rebound and puts it home. With 4 to go, Colts still down 1. Hyde gets 2 with a beautiful hook shot from inside the paint. Kurek follows that with the 3 from downtown Etobicoke. Boom goes the dynamite. And McFarland going through the whole team for the layup. The Colts shut down the Golden Flyers out over the final 5 minutes, outscore them 23-6 in the fourth, and finish on a 19-1 run. Colts take this one 72-58. Kurek with the monster double-double. Then you have McFarland with 15 points and 8 assists. Gillard had 16 to lead the way for the Golden Hawks, while Wind added 11.
And over to the pitch, the Centennial Women's Colts were in action and looking for their second win of the season. They hosted the 2-6 Durham Lords. The Colts split the season series with the Lords last year and would need to finish on their chances this time around to come up with a victory. 10 minutes into the first half, and it's Nicole Warren who streaks all the way down the sidelines from her own end. She moves up and speeds by the defender, cuts into the middle of the field, and buries one. Just squeaks by the keeper there to give her team a 1-0 lead. The Colts have been struggling lately and really needed that one to get the momentum going for their side. You can see the celebration here, how excited they are, but now they need to keep it going. Unfortunately, it didn't last long, as here come the Lords. Durham would come back in the 33rd minute here as Sarah Balzio rings one into the box and scores in the corner off the post and in. A beautiful finish ties things up at 1, and the celebration is on. Shortly after that, it's Taylor McGee who would take a pass into the 18-yard box, find an opening, curl a perfect chip shot over the Colts keeper. That goal in the 44th minute would be enough. The Lords will take this one 2-1 the final. The women's Colts soccer team is now 1-6-2 and is winless at home this season. While the team will continue to look forward and try to improve, Coach O'Connor discussed what the team could learn from their 3rd straight loss.
First of all, it's a very tough loss because this was we felt a much very winnable game. I think we got to realize what we didn't put into practice what we were practicing all week. We practiced short passes and we kind of got away from that tonight. And I think we paid a price for not sticking to what the game plan was. The game plan was to play it relax and play the ball short passes, so we felt good in the ball, but we got into panic mode, I believe, and that cost us in the end.
The 2016 season has been a rough one so far for Leicester City. The defending Premier League champions have had an up and down start to their campaign and have been consistent at only one thing, being inconsistent. We have soccer analysts Jamie and Sumed in studio to try and make sense of it all.
Thanks, guys. I'm Jamie Johnstone, joined with Sumed Salvi. Well, we're going to give you the quick 2-minute breakdown about the remarkable story of Leicester City, the Foxes, and the struggles they're facing this year. They've had a pretty tough time of it, coming off the top and being the champions of England last year. And now, after 7 matches played, they have 2 wins, 2 ties, and 3 losses, which is equaling their losses of the entire season last season.
That's correct, Jamie. And the reason behind that is we'll have to look at the dealings in the transfer window. Selling N'Golo Kante to Chelsea was a huge mistake for them. It has left a hole in the defensive midfield, which they haven't been able to fill. Signing Slimani for $30 million is a good deal, I'd say, but he hasn't fired until now. He hasn't given them the goals they need. Jamie Vardy still hasn't recreated his form from last season. That is affecting them really badly. So I think looking at the transfer market, that is the one big problem. And also the fact that, Jamie, they are involved in the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, the Champions League, it brings extra pressure, extra travel time. These guys now have to play almost twice as many matches. And on top of that, they're the champions of England. So whenever they show up, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in France, or even back in the Premiership, teams now have a point to prove. They want to beat Leicester City. There's no easy matches for them anymore. It's just like Barcelona in that sense. Every match, every team, you want to beat the best there is. That
is correct, Jamie. And also looking at the other teams, they have improved their performance considerably from last season. United, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, they all are genuine Premier League favourites. So with them being in their top form, Leicester City have a tough chance.
Very tough time indeed. That's all we have time for. Thanks a lot, and we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you.
Up next, we delve deeper into the Whitby Dunlops season. And Quinton Amundsen is here to give us a look into his must-see sports movies.
Are you tired of waiting a full 10 minutes for your computer to log in every single day? Are you tired of not being able to find your printer jobs, or, the more common problem, not being able to even get into the printer at all? Are you done with not being able to get in the doors, even though your card's supposed to work? Well, we have a solution for you. Graduation. Get your diploma today and you can be rid of all of these tedious little problems.
The Jays are on their way to the ALCS for the second straight year after their 3-game domination over the Texas Rangers. Josh Donaldson had the game-winning run in the 10th inning on Sunday to give the Bluebirds the walk-off win. Our esteemed colleagues Andrew Bottomley and Keegan Matheson join us now to tell us how they pulled it off.
Thanks for the warm welcome, guys. So the Blue Jays have been rolling, 6 straight wins, undefeated in October. Keegan, what do you think of their playoff performance so far?
Well, obviously the bats have gotten a lot of the attention in the playoffs. The home run bats finally waking up after a bit of a quiet September. The bullpen and starting rotation have been big factors, though, as well, and picking each other up when the other half needs. A big factor in that has been Roberto Osuna, who's put in some big work throughout September especially. 14 appearances, 16 innings. That's coming off 72 games and 74 innings in the regular season, which is a big workload for a guy who's not just 21 years old, but a Tommy John surgery in his past. A little worry about his workload, especially with a bit of a shoulder strain earlier in the playoffs, but looks like he's healthy and came off with a 2-inning save to lock up the ALCS, which was big news for the Blue Jays.
Now, a lot of people were kind of confused when Gibbons went to Estrada for the first game of the ALDS. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? It worked out as well as it possibly could have. 8 1/3 great innings from Estrada, and you might see him in Game 1 of the CS as well because he'll be on 1 week full rest coming up towards this Friday. And if they push him any beyond that 8-9 days rest, then you might get into some rust factor over rest. So with Estrada, if you get him in Game 1, then you'll have Sanchez on a little extra rest, Happ on 2 days extra rest, and I think Stroman is going to continue being pushed back. You might even see him long relief out of the bullpen if the Blue Jays need. But Estrada did everything he could have to win that right, and if he was the Game 1 starter in Game 1 of the DS and he pitched that well, what's to stop the Blue Jays from going back to him again in the same situation?
I completely agree. Now, Happ and Sanchez have kind of carried the Blue Jays starting rotation through the season, but against Texas, they kind of got hit up a bit. Are you worried about them against Cleveland?
You know what? I don't think so. They do have the opportunity to bounce back very quickly, and these are outliers for both of them. If they had struggled through September, you might look at this as part of a bigger trend, especially for Sanchez getting up around 200 innings when he wasn't supposed to even get anywhere close to that threshold this year. But with Happ, I think you'll see more of a fly ball defense outfield again. You'll have Ferreira, maybe an Upton out there spelling off Jose Bautista, who could DH. And then with Sanchez, if he can produce the ground balls and stay away from hard contact like he did, a little bit of poor luck as well in that final game, but I think they're set up very nicely to bounce back.
Well, there you have it. The Jays are going to take on the Indians in the ALCS starting Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern. Back to you guys.
In this week's NHL season preview, we check in with Brendan Ferreira and the rest of the panel, who will preview the NHL's Western Conference Canadian teams coming into the new season with some questions that are hanging over each of the squads.
Conference preview. I'm Brendan Ferreira here with Wade Stevenson and Kurt McGilvery. Now Wade, the Edmonton Oilers, who's going to line up with McDavid right now?
That's a good question, Brendan. And there's a lot of intrigue on who they're going to line up with their franchise center. And I personally believe that it has to be Nail Yakupov. The guy has the wheels to keep up with McDavid, plus he has the offensive prowess. That's what he's known for, his offensive ability. Why not put the best offensive players with your best offensive player on the team, essentially? So putting guys like Milan Lucic just doesn't make sense for me because he can't keep up with McDavid. So for me, the obvious choice is Nail Yakupov, and he's a former #1 pick for a reason, Brendan.
Okay, and sticking with Alberta, Kurt, what's going on with Johnny Gaudreau right now in the Flames?
Well, that's a good question too. Johnny Gaudreau and the Flames have sort of come to a standstill on his contract negotiation. He's currently a restricted free agent, and that means he's sort of refused to come to camp now. The Flames are going to sorely miss him if he can't get a deal done and get back in the lineup. He's obviously their most dynamic scorer, most dynamic offensive threat. So without him in the lineup, the Flames are going to sorely miss him. Let's hope they can get a deal done.
And moving over to Vancouver right now, Wade, what's the outlook look for the Canucks right now after they've traded away so much of their potential talent in their draft picks?
Well, I think everyone wants to put a grim outlook on them, but I don't think that's warranted after seeing these preseason games that their prospects have played. The future is looking brighter than many had thought. A lot of guys are showing excellent speed. Veteran guys, even like Goodbranson, they've shed some weight and they're quicker and more agile, better suited for the fast pace in the West. I think the outlook's pretty solid. It may still be like 3 years till they're fully back into contending action, but it's a lot better than the 5-year prediction many fans had previously put.
And now our final Canadian team in the Western Conference, the Winnipeg Jets. Kurt, how do you think Blake Wheeler's going to fill into that captaincy role?
Well, I think he's going to fill in actually rather well, Brendan. I mean, he's a guy who's been around the block in Winnipeg. He's been there for quite some time. Andrew Ladd has since departed Chicago last year at the trade deadline. They traded for him. Now he's with the Islanders. So that sort of left an opening at the captaincy position, obviously. And Blake Wheeler, I think, is going to fit right in there quite well. I think he's a guy that the younger players can look up to. He's a proven scorer in this league. He's been successful. And I think he's going to do a fine job as the new captain of the Winnipeg Jets.
So a little grim for Canadian fans, but I want to thank you both.
Still early.
I want to thank you both, Wade and Kurt, for joining me today. That's all we have for you back at home. Back to you guys in the studio.
Coming up on Centennial Sports TV, the Dunlops get set for Saturday's home opener in Whitby. And a thorough breakdown of the best movies in sports, which may or may not include an appearance from Herb Brooks.
Kind of hungry.
It's upside down.
Yeah, no, I'm hungry. I'm so hungry.
Don't be hangry. Go to Brothers Pizza.
That's a good idea.
Hockey teams across North America have gotten preseason action out of the way and are buckling up for the new year. Nestled into Southern Ontario are 6 senior AAA hockey clubs who will be competing in the Allan Cup. The Whitby Dunlops had an impressive 16-7-1 record last season, but are poised to push that success even further this time around.
The Allan Cup Hockey League were founded in 1954. One of their biggest accomplishments was winning the 1958 World Championships in Norway. Since 1974, their home has been Iroquois Park Arena, where they have brought their town much success.
Well, to be honest with you, it's an honor and privilege to be associated with Whitby Dunlops this year. The tradition and history of the program, the franchise, it's first class. The ownership that's in place right now with Mr. Young, Mr. Lang, the GM, Mr. Crawford, everything that has to do with Whitby Dunlops is first class. So far it's been an honor and, like I say, a privilege to be around these guys and these players.
There's a lot of respect and pride in the system that's been going for 60 years now, especially for myself. I was born and raised in Whitby. Very easy decision for me to come here and play, and it's awesome to be able to play in front of my friends and family.
The Dunnies are heading into the season with high expectations. Their ultimate goal is to win a championship, which veteran players strongly believe they can do under the guidance of new head coach Shane Bolton.
Yeah, we believe we can compete for an Allan Cup. That's why we're doing this. That's why these guys are playing for the love of the game, for the right reasons. As you know, they're not compensated financially at this level, so these guys are all playing for the right reasons. They want to play, they want to win. We believe we have enough talent and character in that dressing room that we have a chance to compete for an Allan Cup.
Has a big hockey family and history behind him. I'm actually really excited to see what he can do with the team.
Whitby will commence upon their quest toward another Allan Cup in their home opener on Saturday, when they host the Thorold Athletics at 6:30. Jason Guy will get the call between the pipes for the Dunnies as they look to add another layer to the onion that is Whitby hockey.
We find ourselves in the heart of fantasy football season, and many in the sports lexicon are craving any advice they can get. Well, we've got that fix. Our very own Kurt McGilvery and Shoaib Ali are here to shed some light on budding Steelers star Sammy Coates and the running back debate going down in Atlanta.
Hello, my name is Shoaib Ali, and welcome to the football segment of our show. Today we're going to be talking some fantasy football, and to do that, I've brought in one of our heavily used insiders and my personal friend, Kurt McGilvery. Kurt, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Show. Not at all.
So, like I said, we're going to be talking some fantasy football. Just some quick hits to get things started. So first off, with Week 5 in the books, what do you think of Pittsburgh wide receiver Sammy Coates?
Well, I think he's terrific, to be honest with you. I think Pittsburgh is sorely missing a deep threat. You all know Antonio Brown, as good as he is. He's a great player, blah, blah, blah. Sammy Coates brings an added dimension to the team that they've been missing since Martavis Bryant got suspended for the whole year. Coates has the ability to get down the field, behind the defense, take the top off. Roethlisberger likes to throw it deep, and Sammy Coates seems to be filling in nicely in that role.
Do you think he's worth a waiver wire pickup?
Oh, absolutely. He's worth the waiver wire pickup. The fact that if he's on your waiver wire still, if he's still available, I suggest you go out and grab him because I think he's going to have probably a pretty big year for the rest of the remaining, 8 weeks?
We'll move on to another subject then, last of the day, just before we go back to the guys in the studio. The Atlanta offense. In consecutive weeks, they've taken down some amazing defenses. They put up over 40 points on Panthers last week. They took out Denver this week. Are they for real?
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue with any team that has beaten last year's Super Bowl teams in consecutive weeks. Look, Matt Ryan looks terrific. Julio Jones didn't have a big game against Denver, but he got the job done. Devonta Freeman picked up a lot of the slack there, did a great job against Denver's vaunted defense. Tevin Coleman didn't get a lot done because he was battling sickle cell in the high altitude. Couldn't really play that much. But yeah, Atlanta looks for real. I mean, if their defense can keep up, we've seen this from Atlanta before though, where they start hot and then they fade. But look, Matt Ryan's playing as well as any quarterback in the league. They have two monsters in Julio Jones and Devonta Freeman. And it's not bad when you have Tevin Coleman, too. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say the Atlanta Falcons are looking pretty solid this year.
Fantasy purposes, you mentioned Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman. Who is the better back to own? Can you really tell at this point?
Well, I mean, I feel like the better back to own is Devonta Freeman. Coleman is more of a runner, whereas Freeman has the pass-catching ability and the ability to run. I just think over time, Freeman will get more touches than Coleman and therefore produce more fantasy points.
Fair enough. Well, there you have it. Devonta Freeman and Sammy Coates, two waiver wire pickups if they're not already owned. Yeah. That's it for us from the fantasy segment of our show. I'm Shoaib Ali. This is Kurt McGilvery, and we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
With summer days behind us and cooler temperatures starting to drift into the city, it's a great time to cozy up on the couch and enjoy a classic sports flick. Our very own Quinton Amundsen is not only a prize sports journalist, but an avid movie buff as well. He uses his expertise to break down his favorite sports movies.
That last still image you saw was from the 1986 film Hoosiers, a film that's going to be celebrating its 30th anniversary in just 1 month from now. And this story about an underdog basketball team from Indiana is considered one of the greatest sports films of all time. Hoosiers is considered great because it's grounded in reality. It captures the essence of the drama and passion that surrounds high school sports. Another reason is the great on-screen work by Gene Hackman and the Oscar-nominated Dennis Hopper. The great thing about Hoosiers is if you took away the entire scene where the team battles for the state championship, it's still a very good movie. And that is ultimately my litmus test when I decided which is the best football, baseball, hockey, and basketball film, is what film provides the most riveting entertainment without the plot device of a championship game. Let's start with baseball. My choice for the top baseball film ever is Bill Durham, which came out in 1988. This story about the players and fans of the Durham Bills minor league team is the best baseball flick because it has the best screenplay. It is one of the funniest sports films ever, but the comedy is not overdone. There is a great tonal balance between laughs, drama, and sexuality.
And kind of improve your hand-eye coordination.
My choice for the top football film is Rudy. Despite this biopic of Daniel Rudy Rudinger having a predictable storyline, it's easy to understand why people fell in love with this guy back in 1993. It's captivating to watch him persevere and ultimately triumph over adversity to reach his dream. There are so many scenes in this film that grabs at the heartstrings, like where his teammates request that Rudy play in the final game of the season. I often find that the drama is exaggerated in a lot of football films to kind of heighten the entertainment. What makes Rudy powerful is that the storytelling is simple and authentic, and that's what makes it inspiring. There is only 2 really great hockey films that have ever been made up to this point in time: Slapshot and Miracle. I'm going to go with Miracle, which documents the United States' stunning victory at the 1980 Olympics over the powerhouse team from the Soviet Union. The 2004 film would still be terrific, even without the legendary game, for a few reasons. One reason is the performances from the cast, specifically Kurt Russell as Herb Brooks. He is entertaining and likable as the inspirational coach who understood that his relentless and dictatorial style would bring his team together. Another reason Miracle is great is because there are some moments that induce goosebumps. But the big reason I'm picking Miracle is the importance of the story that it's telling. The Cold War tensions between Russia and the United States are really highlighted in a very interesting way, and the movie really sells the idea that the on-ice confrontation between these two nations were more than just a game. It was a cultural war. As great as Hoosiers is, it is not my top choice for the top basketball film. My pick is the 1994 documentary film Hoop Dreams. The story follows the lives of 2 African-American teenagers in Illinois who are recruited to play on a high school team with predominantly white players. This is a deeply affecting film because it does more than document the story of these 2 boys. It presents a real portrait of the education, race, social class, and economic issues that existed and continue to exist in North America. The other films I mentioned in this video I consider to be very great entertainment viewing. While on the other hand, Hoop Dreams is a film that I believe to be absolutely essential viewing for everybody. For Centennial Sports TV, I'm Quinton Amundsen.
What a great flick Hoop Dreams is. If you have 4 hours of free time, not including bathroom breaks. But Kyle, the world wants to know what your favorite sports movie is.
Well, I'm going to have to go off the board here and say Warrior. You got Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton, Nick Nolte, MMA. It's amazing. Inspiring, entertaining.
Way off the board with that one. I've got to give a shout out to my favorite, A League of Their Own. It gets me every time. And I still believe that Dottie Hinson dropped the ball on purpose. We'll leave you on that cliffhanger. For all of us here at Centennial Sports TV, I'm Braydon Holmyard. That's Kyle Forster. We'll see you next time.